Good morning. It's 5 o'clock on Saturday, the 24th of April. My name is Nick, and for the past 10 years now, I have had the privilege of leading dawn chorus walks here at Sculthorpe Moor, the Hawke and Owl Trust's wonderful nature reserve in North Norfolk. Who'd have thought it when last year I was asked to do a virtual dawn chorus walk, that a year later I would be doing the same thing again. But here we are again, bringing you virtual birdsong from North Norfolk. Now, I'm surrounded by birdsong. There's a blackbird singing behind me, there are robins all around me, there's a wren singing just over there, wood pigeons, even a cuckoo in the distance, and a pheasant calling behind me as well. When we talk about bird song, we're talking about a particular vocalization in a bird's life. Birds make noises for all sorts of reasons. There are alarm calls. There are specialised alarm calls for flying predators like sparrowhawks or hobbies. There are specialised alarm calls for ground predators like cats or stoats or weasels. There are contact calls which keep groups of birds together, like long-tailed tits through the winter. They talk to each other all the time, but the sounds I'm hearing, chiff-chaff's just started next to me as well. The sounds I'm hearing around me now are very largely songs, and songs are all about territory. The chiff-chaff is only recently back from Africa, so he's probably also still attracting a mate, or he may well be still attracting a mate. But once a mate has been attracted, then song is all about territory. It's about saying, this is where I live. I'm the robin, the one singing right behind me here. I'm the robin who lives here. I'm raising my chicks here with my female, and no other robins are welcome in this territory. So, a very good morning to everybody who's along with me for the journey. Let's go hear some bird song. What better bird to begin with than the robin, who is singing right above me here. Robins are a really important bird to learn early in your birdsong adventure, because they're the ones who sing all through the winter. And in the winter, robins, both males and females, sing to maintain feeding territories. But come the spring, it's only the males who are singing, having paired up. And by now, robins are well into nesting. And robin song is absolutely magical, one of the finest sounds you'll hear in the UK landscape. You hear the bird above me there. It's sorrowful but rich and slightly sad. It has this wonderful feeling of trickling water. For me, it sounds as if it begins with a horizontal note, a tsi. There, that note, tsi, and then it trickles down, almost like water babbling over stones in a river. Tsi, tiddly, leaving you with a really wistful feeling. So that's the robin, which happily is one of the commonest birds in the UK landscape. One of the difficulties of talking about birdsong in the springtime is that many species are singing, and they're all competing for sound space. So it can be hard, especially when you're recording yourself on your phone, to pick out individual songs. But above me here, there's a chiff-chaff singing. Now, a chiff-chaff, it has one of the most distinctive songs in the UK. It says its name. It says chiff. Chiff-chaff, 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 chiff. Now, there are three common birds that rock backwards and forwards in the UK. The great tit, which we may well meet later on. The coal tit, that we're less likely to, although they do breed on the reserve. And the chiff-chaff. And the main difference between chiff-chaffs and the other two is that they lilt backwards and forwards. So you have there's a cuckoo singing in the distance over there. They lilt backwards and forwards. They have a slightly seasick feeling about their songs. So instead of a great tit which goes dee doo dee doo dee doo, the chiff-chaff goes doo 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 doo, slightly wrong-footing you. And also, if you're very close, you can just hear the little chop 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 notes in between each burst of song. Now, chiff-chaff, your turn to shine. Sing above me, please. The chiff-chaff, which is our first migrant back from the Mediterranean, not south of the Sahara, in the springtime. Above me here is a blue tit. There. Beep, beep, dee, 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 dee. Beep, beep, dee, dee. that one there. Really, really simple, but this lovely, bright, silvery, happy tone to it. Now, blue tits are really distinctive in what they say. If you know the rapper Sean Combs, who used to be Puff Daddy but changed his name to P. Diddy, and that's exactly what blue tits say. They say P. Diddy Diddy Diddy, P. 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 Diddy Diddy Diddy. As if by magic. So that one's a blue tit, and a blue tit, of course, is a hole nester. So you can help them in your garden by putting up bird boxes facing to the east or to the north to keep them cool so the chicks don't overheat. Or even better, if you have old woodland and let trees rot with holes in them, made by woodpeckers perhaps, and that's perfect nesting habitat for blue tits. There's a blackbird singing right behind me here. Blackbird, of course, has a really beautiful song. Rich, languid, it's got this laid-back feel to it. But one of the really distinctive things about Blackbird is how it ends. Do you hear how that lovely, rich, full tone, thanks pheasant, he doesn't know I'm here, that lovely, rich, full tone ends very abruptly. So he goes do 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 do. Yeah, he suddenly cuts off, and that distinguishes him from the missel thrush, which does have a similar tone. Hardly a better sound in the British landscape than a singing blackbird, and happily also a very common bird that most of us will have in our local parks and gardens. That fabulously loud and strident song next to me here is a wren. That one just there. And I'm hearing two wrens. There's another male singing just over the other side of the path. So these two are singing at each other, and as it's dawn, they're establishing territory. They're telling each other, we're still here, we're still on territory, you still can't usurp my turf. Now, wren song is, as I said, oh, he's just flown across the path into another section of his territory. Wren song is very loud, very strident, fast and whirring, so it quickly changes between segments. And then the really characteristic thing about a wren is that it will often, green woodpecker calling over there out in the meadow, the really characteristic thing about a wren is it will always, or almost always, throw in this hard little, a little drilling sound. So with this bright, loud, strident tone, and then there'll be this little. But my wren has now flown off to a different bit of his territory, so I can't. Oh, there is another one singing behind, but I can't let you hear him again. If I catch a wren again later, I'll record him. Unfortunately, wood pigeons are very wary birds, and it's easier on a real walk to point out a sound to people listening with their own ears, obviously, than it is for my phone to pick up the sound. But wood pigeons... Oh, just finished. There is a wood pigeon singing behind me. Wood pigeon and collared dove are both very common in the UK. Both occur in parks and gardens right round the country. You might have both in your garden if you're lucky enough to have a garden. The collared dove is a timid sounding bird. It goes, be careful, be careful, be careful. Very, very repetitive. And you can tell it's the health and safety operative of the bird world, because every time it comes into land, you can tell how nervous it is. It goes, woo! But the song is, be careful, be careful. But the wood pigeon is more concerned about the welfare of the warden here at Sculthorpe Moor. Nigel, the wood pigeon, says, careful, Nigel, be careful, Nigel, be careful, Nigel. But then at the end it decides it's not really that bothered about the well-being of Nigel, and it just goes, oh, they've started up behind me, but I think they'll be too far for you to hear. I hope you heard that. Careful, Nigel. Be careful, Nigel. Be careful, Nigel. Oh. Now, around me, I can hear great tit, I can hear chiff-chaffs, I can hear all sorts of things. So I'm going to wander on in the hope that you two will be able to hear them with me. That's a chiff-chaff. Remember, we met him just as we came into the reserve earlier. He's the one who, like a great tit, like a cold tit, rocks backwards and forwards between two notes. But in the case of the chiff-chaffs, it's off the beat. It's not do 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 do. It's do 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 do. Wonderful sound. And always, this year my first was in the end of February, but always in early March, the real herald of the coming of the spring birds. Now that's a song you won't hear every day. That sci-fi strident that one there. That's a marsh tit, which happens to be my Twitter handle. Most of the year, marsh tits just make a call, which is a really sneezing pigeon, pigeon. But in early spring, they also sing, and the song is that really strident, snappy tit. And the marsh tit is a bird that sadly is declining right across the UK, so every bit of old, damp woodland, such as is protected here at the Hawke and Owl Trust Sculthorpe Moor, is very important for the survival of this unassuming but really lovely little bird. Now I'm staying behind the screen here, but looking out over the new scrape which has been built here at Sculthorpe Moor, and the screen is so that volunteers can work behind it to build a new hide which you'll be able to visit at the moor from, I hope, next year. I'm staying behind the screen because really right next to me there are lapwings, there are little ringed plovers, no chance of showing you those because they're tiny, and you may just in the distance there be able to hear doodle 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 doodle. You have to do the silly face. Doodle 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 doodle. And that's the song of a redshank. And they seem to have been attracted to breed here. They're certainly singing, which means that they're on territory. And that is now a declining bird inland in the UK. The redshank has tipped up in the second year of the scrape. The scrape's going from strength to strength, so I'm really looking forward to a time when you can come and visit. But for this year, there are redshanks on territory here, oyster catchers, little ringed plovers and lapwings, so a marvellous success for nesting waders here in the Wensum Valley. You can maybe see from my breath that it is cold. We are experiencing very cold nights for this time of year, and with the wind in the north, some of my migrant birds are slow to arrive. So although we're a week earlier than we were doing the dawn chorus last year, we're a little slow getting birds like sedge warbler and reed warbler that nest right here in the reeds along the river at Sculthorpe Moor. I sat down here in the hope of recording a Chetty's warbler. Now, Chetty's warbler is resident in the UK, it doesn't migrate, so they sing all through the winter, and there was one singing just here, and I thought if I sat still for long enough he would start singing again, but I think he's wise to me. But Chetty's warbler has this incredible explosive plink, plinkety plink, plinky 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 plink, plink, plinkety plink, plinky 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 plink. In Simon Barnes' wonderful book On the Marsh, he describes it as me, I am Chetty. If you don't like it, sod off. And that's more or less the explosive attack of the Chetty's warbler. Now, I wish you could be here with me to experience everything that I'm seeing and hearing this morning. There are bramblings calling over in the woods who are just heading to Scandinavia now. There are redpolls singing. I've been hearing a cuckoo. I've seen a peregrine. The reserve is open. There are lots of COVID precautions in place, and you can find out in advance by going to the website, which is hawkandowltrust.org. That's hawkandowltrust.org. But the reserve is open and is delighted to receive visitors, to welcome people back to the moor. I'm getting cold, so I'm going to walk on in the hope of finding you some more birds along the River Wensum here in North Norfolk. He's not really getting going, but that's a sedge warbler. Reed warblers are literally just arriving. I haven't heard one yet this spring. Sedge warblers have been here now for a few days, although this one's a little bit chilly and not really giving it the full welly. Do you hear that? That's him imitating a blue tit. And it's that imitation, it's that creativity that really is the key to distinguishing sedge warblers from reed warblers. That high trilling there, that's very sedge warbler. Reed warbler is very, very serious about singing. He arrives and he's on territory and I will sing reed warbler song, chunk, 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 chunk. And he doesn't really deviate from that script, whereas sedge warbler is exuberant. Sedge warbler is freewheeling, throws in these wonderful riffs. Sedge warbler is so exuberant that eventually he'll burst out of the reeds and do a song flight, and he does this little fluttery flight, almost like a swallow, and then back down into the reeds. But that tick, 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 and then the long trrr, that's all very characteristic of the sedge warbler. Welcome home from Africa. Now, I won't be able to show you, but the female of the pair of marsh harriers who are nesting here at Sculthorpe Moor is flying over the reed bed just there. Now, while the sedge warbler who's singing just over there is just back from Africa and is beginning his nesting, and beyond him I can in the distance hear a grasshopper warbler, the long dry purr of a grasshopper warbler who literally will have arrived within the last couple of days. I'm not sure anyone's heard one yet this year, so it might be the first record of the year. You can see I'm shaking, it's so cold, sorry about that. While the sedge warbler is just starting to breed, some birds are already well into their breeding, and if you come to the moor at the moment you can see Sculthorpe's resident pair of mute swans, and here is Mrs. Swan very patiently on her nest. My phone won't show you just what a magnificent construction the nest is, but it's well worth a visit to see that alone. Good luck. I hope you raise lots of chicks with your male this year, Mrs. Swan. I'm absolutely delighted, both because I've just heard a singing cuckoo behind me, but also because just here in this patch of reed, I've just heard my first reed warbler. Having said I hadn't heard one, I just have. It blows my mind that here is a bird weighing 20 grams, something like that, that's just flown here from sub-Saharan Africa and is now staking territory. It's a wren singing just across the river, and is now staking territory here in North Norfolk Reed alongside the River Wensum. Absolutely astonishing that these birds surf the magnetic field of the earth, that they know how much to feed to lay down the right amount of fat to get them along their journey, and against all the odds they return to us. It is just simply mind-blowing. Now sadly, as is very often the case with these marsh nesting warblers, they sing just a little burst when they first get in, and then of course they need to feed. He's just flown here from Africa. So feed well, breed well. Good luck in the coming season, Mr. Reed Warbler, and welcome back. a bit of soundscape there, but there are several birds. I don't know whether you'll be able to hear that. I hope so, but that really strident descending, that's a tree creeper. The tree creepers are nesting a little way along the boardwalk just there. So that's the almost like a really strident version of willow warbler. Willow warbler lilts gently down the scale. Tree creeper's got much more snap to it. Then there's also one who's going jing, 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 jing. Right there. That's a great tit. Great tits do a number of different things, all very simple and all very repetitive and very loud. So the normal one, people say teacher, teacher, dee doo dee doo dee doo dee doo. There's the tree creeper again. This one's going do 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 do, but it's loud, it's bright, it's confident. I always reckon great tits are the politicians of the bird world. They say everything with great conviction and great certainty that everyone should listen, but there's actually no content there at all. There he is, chiming away, a great tit. There's been so much, as is always the case, that I've been hearing and seeing that I haven't been able to record. There have been bramblings and redpolls in the woods. There are blackcaps singing in the woods very close to me here. There's a greenfinch singing above the visitor centre. There's a little egret perched behind the brand new, bright, shiny new dragonfly hide here back at reception. You're just going to have to come and see it for yourselves. The reserve, as I say, is open. There are COVID precautions in place. There's never been a time when conservation organisations have more needed your help and support. Both your financial support, because income streams have been cut off while reserves have been closed, but also your moral support. Just the fact that you care, the fact that you want to visit these beautiful places and help keep them alive. So come and visit. Sculthorpe Moor will be delighted to see you. Let's hope that this time next year we're no longer doing virtual dawn chorus walks. It's been a huge pleasure, of course, to share with you the wonderful birds of Sculthorpe Moor, but I very much hope that next year we'll be doing it in person, that you'll be able to come with me or with somebody else on a walk around Sculthorpe Moor to enjoy this fabulous place for yourselves. Until then, stay safe and a very happy spring to you, full of the song of glorious birds.